Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today, the best daily all sports betting show on the planet. I'm your host, Lawrence Presman. We got a wonderful show for you guys, tons of actionable info. Bryan Power is going to be joining us right off the top. He's going to be talking about the Cubs and the Mets, game 3 in this series. And he's got a really solid plus 400 EPL bet for you all, so stay with us for that. Tokyo Brandon's going to join us. He's got a prop bet for us on Max Fried and a KBO bet as well. And Andrew McInnis, he's going to look at the Saskatchewan-Montreal CFL game and an NFL preseason total. We've got a betting strategy segment and, of course, Teddy's big game breakdown. Speaking of Teddy, it's good to have you back, bro. What's your big game breakdown about today?
We're going to talk some NFL Week 1 and take advantage of a line that may not be there a month from now. There's a reason to talk about it now and get involved.
Well, before we bring Bryan Power on, I just want to ask you guys if you could please hit that like button, if you could subscribe to our channel, if you could tell a friend about us, and really just comment and interact. I read the comments throughout the show. If I see anything that's worth discussing, in my opinion, I will address it. Also, put up comments in the YouTube video. So, Teddy, we started the show with you pre coming on with you asking if I've heard the song Mirror in the Bathroom. Then I proceeded to start singing it, and then Joe threw the show up to stop me from singing. This is a technique we should use every day. Every day we should use this technique. We will be on time every single day. Otherwise, I'll just keep singing. So why Mirror in the Bathroom by the English Beat? Where did that weird reference come from?
Well, it came from the fact that I listened to satellite radio back and forth across the country. But it also came from the fact that you were sitting there priming yourself and looking all pretty. You know, you're like, oh, in the mirror. And I'm like, yeah, we should take you to a restaurant that's got glass tables. You can watch yourself while you were eating. Yeah,
when did I do any of that?
Every day, but particularly today as you came into the show.
I pulled out some beautiful foam for my coffee. How was that? Like, dude, Vane left the building in my 40s.
You love yourself as much as anyone that I've ever met.
Well, I'm lovable. Bryan Power loves himself. Bryan Power joining us, everyone. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. Hit that like button, guys, if you want to hear Bryan. Okay, no like buttons. Bryan is now gone. We will bring Tokyo Brandon up. How you been, man?
I've been doing okay. Teddy, welcome back, man. First time, long time. It's been I hope you had a good vacation, and great to be back on the show with you, man.
Kiss ass.
Tan, resting, and ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or at least tan.
He didn't say any of these things when he was sitting in your seat going, man, can Teddy take another month? I'm really enjoying co-hosting with the Prez. Then he comes on and kisses your tochas. Well done, Bri. Excellent work. Okay. New York Mets, Chicago Cubs. Game 3. It's split. Where are we going here?
Yeah, I noticed you kind of choked on your words there a little bit, Prez, when you mentioned the Mets. I would too. These are two teams clearly going in different directions now, right, guys? You're talking about the Cubs. They've won 16 of 21, including 3-2 here last night. They're now within 1.5 games of the division lead in the NL Central. And looking big picture, guys, I think the Cubs are taking this division, okay? I took a long shot bet, as you guys may remember, I brought this up on the show with the Reds back in June. I bet the Reds 19-1. They proceeded to go on that huge win streak. But I've since hedged with the Cubs. I got them over 5-1 to win the division. And what I'm looking at least in that market, is the run differential column, guys. If you look at the run differential among NL Central teams, the Cubs have the third best run differential in the entire National League. No other Central team has outscored its opponents this year. So if you're like me and you think run differential is a strong predictor of future outcomes, now the Cubs are looking pretty good in this division race. All right, now to tonight's game, the Mets. They've dropped 7 of 8 to open August. We all know they waved the proverbial white flag. They deal Scherzer and Verlander at the deadline. And so they're leaning on guys like David Peterson now. And Peterson's starting tonight. He's been better recently, but at one point he was demoted this year. He only managed to get 1 out the last time he faced the Cubs. I know that was last year, but he allowed 5 runs and 3 walks. 6.58 ERA first time through the order for Peterson. And in case you didn't know, the Cubs, number 1 since the All-Star break in all of baseball in both runs scored and team batting average. You can't count on Peterson to go more than 5 innings. So that means you've got a bad Mets bullpen in play. And the Cubs starter, Kyle Hendricks, I like he's pitched better on the road than at home. 2.62 ERA previously against the Mets. The Mets offense, save for that big breakout game they had in the series opener here, they have not scored more than 3 runs in any of their last 7 games. I would hate to accuse anyone of quitting on the Major League Baseball season, but who could blame the Mets if they did at this point? I don't get why the market has moved back in their direction after early money came in on the Cubs this morning. Take the much better team at a great price, I think. Chicago Cubs are a 4% best bet for me on Wednesday's slate.
So we've talked about this game every day on this show this week. So I'm not going to ask a follow on the game. I want to ask a follow-up on the bets that you've made for the NL Central. You talked about how you bet Cincinnati at a big plus price earlier, and that now you've got a nice plus price on Chicago as well. When we look at this division, the only other team that's realistically alive is Milwaukee. When you have 2 long shots, are you going to put something on the favorite so that you lock in a profit no matter what happens? Or are you going to stick with the 2 long shots? And the Brewers, they're mediocre. There's no reason to lay a price with them.
For right now, my answer would be, I would answer with the latter. I just don't believe in Milwaukee. This is very much a bet against the Brewers. They're the team of those 3 I don't believe in. They don't hit well. I think there's nothing in their profile that suggests anything more than mediocrity. Now, if we get late in the year and there is a chance to hedge, I believe Milwaukee and the Cubs may face off in the last series of the year. I'm doing that off the top of my head. I could be wrong. So that would be the time to hedge, I guess, if you like the Brewers. But no, right now, the reason I jumped on the Cubs, Teddy, is because I am very much betting against the Brewers in that particular market.
Don't do it, Bry. Write it out, man. Sorry, Teddy.
Just real quick, Lawrence. Sorry. Yes, they do play the last series of the year against the Milwaukee. So the Cubs and the Brewers could be playing for the division title that final weekend, which would offer you a very easy chance to hedge.
Yeah, on a series price too. Milwaukee sitting at top of the division. Chicago Cubs and Cincinnati tied 1.5 games back. It's going to be a great ending. Bri, you've got a plus 400 bet for us on the EPL. Fulham. Tell us about it.
All right. First things first, if you thought the relegation battle in the Premier League was crazy last year, crowded, wait till you see what's going to happen this year. Coming into the season, it is the haves and have-nots in the Premier League, okay? You've got a clear top 10, a clear bottom 10. I think any of the teams in the bottom 10 face the prospect of relegation. And a big reason for that, the big reason for that, is last season you had all 3 newly promoted clubs, Fulham being one of them, survive. That was the first time that had happened in 5 years. It's only the 4th time it had ever happened in the modern Premier League. So you have 3 second-year clubs still up there. You've got 3 new clubs. You've got some bad teams like Everton and Wolves, who've been in the league for obviously a while. So this is a loaded race. Now, looking at the market for relegation here, you've got 2 of the newly promoted clubs, Luton Town and Sheffield United, are the favorites there. They're minus next to their names in that market. The 3rd newly promoted side is Burnley. Their price is if they're significantly better. I'm not sure if that's the case. But the bottom line is we're not going to see all 3 newly promoted sides survive again. I don't think all of them will be relegated. So I'm looking to Fulham. This is a value bet. I know on Stoppage Time, which, by the way, is back here on WagerTalk TV, they made the case for Wolves to be relegated. I wouldn't disagree with that. But of the holdovers that were in this league last season, I think the best value is Fulham plus 400. I'm going to tell you why here. They were extremely fortunate to finish 10th last season. They were 16th in expected points, not to mention dead last in expected goals allowed. It's a formality, I think, that Mitrovic is going to leave the club, and they made no significant additions. 14 games last year without Mitrovic. They averaged 0.88 expected goals per match. That's very bad for those of you new to the program. So we've got a team who's going to regress offensively, defensively, and probably loses its best player from last season. I think Fulham, guys, plus 400 is the best value in the relegation market. This is a lock to regress, and I think they can drop all the way down into the bottom three.
Well, you just answered my follow-up question right at the end because I didn't know how many teams got relegated. 3 is the right answer to that question every year. So 17 stay and 3 get bounced down to AAA one more time. So I have no follow-up. Lawrence.
To AAA, Champions League. Bryan Power, outstanding work, man. That was tight, informative. What do you got to promote for our clients?
All right, we got 2 special offers to let you know. They're very similar. If you'd like to get a 3-day all access for just $39, head on over to my page. Use the code POWER3. That is power followed by the number 3. And if you'd like to get 7 days, use the code POWER7. That's just $59. That's 4 days for free. It's usually $39 for 1 day, $59 for 3 days. So you're getting 2 days or 4 days free of charge with those specials. And of course, please be sure, everyone, to check out the Power 5 here every morning, Monday through Friday on WagerTalk TV. We go through a lot of great stuff to help you make all of your bets on the Major League Baseball card.
Yeah, I was just going to mention the Power 5, Teddy. I don't know if you've had a chance being away to listen, but Brian's got a new video out. The Power 5, he does it every day. It is exceptional. And Brian, it's so good that the CEO of WagerTalk Media, Rick Alec, actually sent it to me yesterday and said, now that is how you open a show. So congrats on the success of that video, guys. Check it out. Brian, outstanding work. Teddy, let's welcome everybody into the show. UC Panda, RJ, Alex Mayer. I don't think I've seen your name. Nice to have you here. Reed, Fantone, Boss 429. You as well. I haven't seen you chatting with me before. And Raed Ajami. Anyway, lots of you guys in. Greatly appreciated. I really love that feeling of seeing the same names over and over again every day. We need new ones. We need more people. Help us out, everybody. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel. Teddy covers What Did We Learn in the Wonderful World of Sports Betting?
Well, I didn't learn this last night, but I learned this while I don't know if I learned it across the country. It stood out to me as I was traveling. I was in a bunch of legalized gambling states this summer. Most notably, I spent time in Michigan and Colorado. And the casual bettors that I knew in both states, universally, 1 account, 2 accounts, they weren't taking advantage of bonus offers. They weren't line shopping. They weren't treating them like a business. It was more like a let's burn money, but it's a fun evening type of hobby. And I imagine out there in the world, just like it is here in Vegas, the vast majority of bettors fall into that category. And that's okay. Guys burn all kinds of money on their hobbies. Fishing, fencing, fireting, doesn't matter what you do. People burn money on their hobbies. Okay. There's no shame in deciding that sports betting is just for fun for you. And fun for you isn't necessarily based on losing or winning. It's the action. It's a thrill of the chase. I'm not that way. And I think many of you, most of you watching WagerTalk today, the reason you're watching is because you're at least semi-serious. You're interested in being a serious bettor. You're not dead money. You've got a chance to win, a legit fighting chance. That's why you're here. What do? Treat this like a business. Track your results, every bet long term. Recognize your leaks, your betting weaknesses. Understand that variance is a piece of the equation, sometimes in your favor, sometimes against you, day after day. Keep your head on straight, winning or losing, just like a business. In my world, the start of football season is August, not September. When you do your work now, you'll be making confident bets than the guys who aren't even paying attention until week 1 rolls around. College, NFL, both, they're here now. And that's what I learned, Lawrence.
Yeah, and it's such a great point, Teddy. And honestly, with the legalization of gambling, with sports betting, we've just seen a huge growth in the fair weather bettors. And it's fine. I have no problem. I got a buddy, Sean, who makes $5, $10 parlays every day. He picks like 3 guys in the same game to hit a home run at plus like 3 million. I think he hit one. He hit one this summer. He did hit one. And I'm like, dude, you're never going to win that way. And he's like, dude, it's $10. I'm having fun. But it leads me, and because I was talking to somebody this weekend about parlays, and everybody knows my opinion on parlays. Parlays are for losers. And I said to the guy, explain why I shouldn't bet parlays. So I said to him, firstly, if you're betting for fun, bet parlays. Do what the hell you want, just like what you said. But I said to him, imagine if I set up a lemonade stand, but it was a parlay stand outside of my house. And it said, your true odds are 8-1, 3-team parlays. We only take 3-team parlays. You should win 8-1, but I'm going to offer you 6-1. And then I'm going to have a lineup of people making bets. And I'm thinking to myself, man, how stupid are these people? I'm literally taking their money. And they line up. They just don't stop. So reverse the thought process, people. When you're looking at doing a parlay, ask yourself, would you rather be taking the bet or making the bet? And you will find that you'd rather be taking the bet. When you are rather taking bets, that's probably when you should stop doing them. I wasn't going to get into that now, but your point, your what did bettors learn was so great in regards to that. Why are these people making losing bets? Why are these people not getting 20 outs, 10 outs, however many outs to find the best lines? Teddy, it's because they just don't care. Tokyo, Brandon, anything to add so far, my friend?
What's up, guys? Yeah, a lot of the reason that professional bettors like us make money long term is because we pay attention to the math and we pay attention to the probabilities. And over the long term, if you're going to make one bet, sure, you can take bad odds and do a parlay and make one bet and maybe you'll make some money. But if you're betting over the long term, if you're making 1,000 bets over a year, the math eventually is going to catch up to you. So that's the difference between recreational bettors and professional.
Yeah, Teddy and I talk about that in regards to poker, right? It's like you got a 12% chance of flopping a set in a particular hand. You're likely not going to flop a set. You play that hand the same way 1,000 times, the math will take care of itself. Teddy, you got a haircut, man.
Yes, I did. As I warned you, I would.
But I don't understand it. Tokyo, Teddy is like, I can't have long hair. His hair was this much longer. I can't have long hair in the summer in Vegas. I figure he's going to show up with a Jimmy Adams buzz cut. No, he just trimmed the sides. So
this was not this much longer.
Trimming the sides keeps you cooler? Is that really like legit?
Very much so. Hair. Right here's where you feel your heat in the back of your neck, of course, dude. Exactly. Yes. I think Jimmy took some off the top.
Clumps of hair in the back. Yeah, exactly.
Settle down, Beavis.
Let's talk about gambling.
Well, why don't you host the show then, Tokyo? Okay, Max Fried, you got a prop bet for us. Let's go.
You tell everyone to be concise, and then you go off into tangent.
That's correct. Do you know why I want people concise, Tokyo? So I can go off on a tangent.
Oh, that makes sense. There's a method to the madness.
In all seriousness, Brandon, in all seriousness, I hear you. There are 1 million sports betting shows. There's only one with Teddy and the Prez. And if our personalities don't come across, and if we don't create humor and entertainment inside of the informative betting information we give, all we are is the same as all the other people. So yes, be concise so Teddy and I can take advantage of the empty space that you guys give us to create a better, more lifestyle, more entertaining show. And for that, I don't even want to hear another word. Andrew McInnis joining us, everyone. Max Fried, Tokyo, go.
You actually left me speechless there, Prez. I was going to talk about Kiss or something, but anyways, okay. Let's talk about Max Fried today. Max Fried, since he's in his starts this season, he's been a strikeout master. He's actually In the last month, he's striking out 10.64 batters per 9 innings, which is way above the average. And if you compare that to the Pittsburgh Pirates, they're striking out about 9.95 per 9 innings, where the league average is 8.65. So if you put all the numbers together, and if you calculate how long Max Fried generally goes in his games, he's pitching 64.1%, which is basically 5.5 innings of a game. The calculation comes out to 6.6 strikeouts, and the book has this at 4.5. So I like the Max Fried over 4.5 strikeouts here. If you look at his last 4 starts or so, he's struck out 7, 8, 7, 5. I mean, I just don't understand this number. 4.5 seems way too low. So I'm all over the Max Fried over 4.5 strikeouts on this game.
So this is Fried's, his second start since a 3-month stint on the IL. You talked about the averages for the last month, but that was all off the one start against the Cubs. And admittedly, the Cubs have been hot, and he pitched very well in that game. But do you worry at all about a guy who's been hurt all year? Do you worry about pitch counts? Do you worry about any of that with an over strikeout prop?
Yeah, another stat that good point, Teddy. Another stat I pay attention to is how long a guy goes and how long that team pushes pitchers in general. And the Pirates generally are allowing pitchers to pitch about a half out more than their normal out count. So the Pirates are not a big worry to me. And this is his second start back. So if it were his first start back, I might have a little trepidation about putting a bet on it. But this is second start back. His first start, he went 6 innings. So I'm not worried about that at all. But it's a good point.
There you go. Tokyo Brandon, everyone. Max Fried over 4.5 strikeouts. Tokyo, before we get into KBO, one of the best bettors on our website every year. We're absolutely delighted to have you.
Thank you.
What's going on for your clients? Well, you're getting ready for some football. How's your KBO going, etc.?
I'm not a football capper, but I love watching it, and I love supporting my WagerTalk colleagues when they get into football. Obviously, most of the bettors are betting football in the United States, and it's a fun time for WagerTalk because we get all ramped up for football. Teddy does his early line show, which is always a good one to watch. So football is exciting. But for my clients, actually, I have a 5% play out today. But it got taken down because the line went from minus 135 to minus 190.
Wow.
So that got taken down. Yeah, it went there in 6 hours. I put it out at 135, and it dropped all the way to 190, which is another pitcher prop. But you can still get it if you buy a one-day pass for mine. But it's minus 190 now, so it's probably not worth betting at this point.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Should they still get it? Do you still like the play at minus 190?
I would not bet it at minus 190. I'd bet it at minus 170. So it's probably out of range there. But I do have a 3-play package that I have on WagerTalk.com right now for MLB. It's not my 5% play. That are good lines still, and they haven't moved quite as much as that one has. I also have daily Asian baseball plays for $9. WagerTalk is kind enough to let me do the KBO and Japanese baseball plays at $9 every day, not just on Mondays. Nice. Trevor Bauer just won me my 4% best bet yesterday. He went 7 innings and gave up only 4 hits in 7 shutout innings. So that was nice. Asian baseball is going pretty good, especially the KBO. So that's what I have offered today.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. KT Wiz versus Hanwha Eagles. Teddy's got 3 follow-ups, so be quick.
The last time I did a KBO play, the pitcher was Moon Dong-ju, and you were pretty happy that I was betting on a Jew. But today, unfortunately, no Jews are pitching today. It's Kim Se-hyun for Hanwha, and it's Bae-jae Song for KT. Now, Hanwha has been the doormat for years and years and years, but they're kind of picking up this season. But today's a good day to bet against them because Kim So-hyun is actually a relief pitcher with a 1.65 whip. He's going to try to start, and they're going to try to stretch him out to 4 or 5 innings today, and it's not going to work very well. KT is one of the best hitting teams in the KBO, and they have a better bullpen than Hanwha. So I am betting on KT here. The lines came out about minus 145, but might be a little steep for some people. So DraftKings does offer minus ones for KBO and for Japanese baseball, and a minus one is kind of an insurance bet. You don't have to risk the minus 1.5 and lose if your team wins by 1. With a minus 1, if your team wins by 1, it's a push. So I like minus ones because you can get them at a really nice price. This minus 145 will probably end up being about minus 110 if you lay a minus 1. And it's very little risk because if your team wins by 1, it's a push. And if you win by 2, you win your money. So I'll probably be doing KT minus 1 when DraftKings releases the numbers.
KBO winners from Tokyo Brandon running good in MLB over the last 7 days. Best of luck tonight with your wagers, Mr. Siefkin. Now it's time for a little big game breakdown. Let's talk some Week 1 NFL. And why am I talking Week 1 NFL right now? Because we want to take advantage of a line that probably isn't going to be there. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Cincinnati -1. Total, there are 47.5s and 48s out there. We're going to look at the under in this ball game. Everything I'm reading right now says Joe Burrow's real dicey on Week 1. You know, Jamar Chase came out yesterday with all the quotes. You know, I told him that with all honesty, I don't want him there. As long as you're there after Week 5 and on, we're good, brother. We'll be okay as long as you're there for the end of the season. We're worried about the bigger picture, not the smaller picture here. And Burrow hasn't done anything yet. You know, I would not expect him in midseason form if he plays Week 1. And frankly, I'm not convinced he's going to play. On the other side of the equation, and let's not forget, Trevor Siemian behind him, Jake Browning. Last year, 23-20 in overtime in their opener, another divisional game that stayed under the total. Deshaun Watson finally had a good practice after basically, I think it was yesterday or the day before, after basically getting dominated. You know, the 7-on-7s, the 11-on-11s have been real problems for the Browns offense so far this August. And you're talking about a quarterback who's, you know, in a new system still, in an offensive line. There are all these issues with Bill Gallen and his offensive line and how they're blocking for Watson. I'm not convinced that offense is going to be clicking in Week 1. Divisional game, total sitting at 48. Elite QBs in theory, I'm not convinced it's in practice in Week 1. Let's lock it in now. Bengals, Browns, under 48. And there's your big game breakdown.
I could not agree with you anymore, Teddy. I mean, you got two really good defenses first game, offenses out of sync. Joe Burrow injured. I think Cleveland's going to play conservative. That is a great play. Well done, Theodore. Guys, it's time for your betting strategy segment with Teddy and the Prez. Dan, put the question up. It's a longer question. Dan did a great job summarizing it. How early do you look ahead when handicapping? Okay, so the question is specifically for the NFL. I'm going to read the entire question, Teddy. I got some stuff I want to talk about because it's a really, really interesting question. It's from Smoky Steam Bets. I'd like to know how forward-looking pro bettors are. For example, during an NFL Sunday, I'm usually thinking about how I'm going to bet next week's games as the current week unfolds. Sometimes I'll already know a certain spot that I'll be depending on how the games go. It would be interesting to hear a discussion about this. Teddy, you want to go first?
100% of the time, I'm looking the second week ahead. 100% of the time, I'm not looking the third week ahead. All right? We got this game, this week's games are in play. All right? And we're handicapping these games. We're certainly thinking about if this happens here, we're going to make a bet right when the line comes out on that. If this happens here, we're going to make a bet right when the line comes out on that. So absolutely, I'm looking ahead and thinking ahead, but I try not to lock myself into opinion/positions until the games are completed. Because sometimes you see something in a game that changes your, hey, I was going to do this, but now this has happened. So I'm not, for example, the NFL look-ahead lines. All right. Sometimes I get involved if it's a bad number, but I'm not betting it in a situation where I have an opinion. I'm betting it because it's a bad number. And then we'll make the bets for the new week when the lines come out, often early on Sunday night / Monday morning. What about you, Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, this is such an awesome question. I'm going to give you my process real quick. So once preseason ends, I sit down with the entire season schedule, and I do circle games that are going to be interesting to me, even if they're 10 weeks from now. So the sandwich games, the look-ahead games, the games coming off of or going into buys, games where a team is facing two rivals and then they're facing, a team from another conference who suck. So I already have circled games for the whole season. Now, like you, those aren't bets. And I write notes next to them why I'm thinking this game is a good game. Then I go 2 weeks ahead. Then I always go 2 weeks ahead. I take the look ahead lines for 2 weeks later. And again, I circle games. So let's say, I'm interested in, Minnesota versus Detroit, and it's 2 weeks from now. The line is already out. It's -3. Minnesota's at home. I circle it. I'm like, I like Minnesota. Here's why. I write it down. Then during Sunday, after the games end on Sunday night, I go back through all the games I've circled, and I see if my reasoning and logic still applies. Then I get rid of the ones that it doesn't apply to, and the ones that it does apply to actually become bets. So I am looking way ahead all the time, but only in NFL. I do not use this strategy in other sports to a degree. In hockey, I do circle games like when Toronto goes and plays Buffalo and they always lose, etc. But in NFL, I'm looking as far ahead as I possibly can. What the hell? Yeah, go ahead, Teddy.
So you said you're looking 2 weeks ahead. Does that mean you're looking, okay, this week's games get played this weekend and then it's next week's games? Or you're looking after next week's games?
No. So we're sitting on it's Wednesday right now. Let's assume week 1 is this weekend. Yep. I'm deep into week 1, but I'm looking at week 2 already, and I'm circling games that are interesting to me.
Okay. Yes. Right. Yes. So you and I basically not the same process, but it's comparable. So the answer is, how early do you look ahead? Every week. Great question, Smoky Steam Bets. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, really.
We appreciate all of your questions. Please post them in the comments on YouTube, and we'll answer one each and every day right here on WagerTalk Today.
Teddy, Greg Macaluso, one of our absolute most loyal listeners, asks, it's 47.5 at multiple books. You're under in the Cincinnati game. Firstly, yes, Greg, that's why Teddy's telling you guys, get this bet down now. It's going to be way lower than that. Do you still like it at 47.5? I like it all the way down to 46.
I would probably bet it right. So you can lock in at 47, and I'm looking right now. There are more 47.5s than 48. There's a handful of 48s, and in general, when I talk on the big game breakdown, I use the prevailing market number. In this instance, I'm probably a half point off of that because the prevailing market is 47.5. I have no hesitation playing this at under 47.5. I have no hesitation playing under at 47. I think it's going to close significantly lower.
Man, I loved Smoky Steam Bets question. Guys, hit that like button, please. Greatly appreciated. Teddy, before we bring Andrew in, I just want to mention I have not lost a baseball play this week. I have one up tonight. It's a rare 4% play. I also have a 5% futures bet in the NFL up now. It is, I don't think, it's one of my favorite bets in a while. I mean, months. And it's up now. It's a 5% play over at my page. You have any plays up already for college or NFL?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I've got 2 NFL preseason plays up for this weekend. We got week 1 NFL, and obviously we have the season win reports. The college will post, as it comes. Wouldn't be surprised if we have some college posted this week.
Yeah, UC Panda. I know a guy who makes a $5 5-leg parlay, usually around plus 500 every Saturday and Sunday in football. If he hits just one, he made a profit. Oh, UC Panda, you're so cute. Andrew McInnis joining us. Andrew, anything to add so far to the show?
Bunch of things. I don't want to get yelled at, like Brandon did. Welcome
Andrew,
back to Teddy.
shut the hell up, man. Don't come on to this show and give me that bullshit.
Yeah, welcome
what
back.
the hell is going on with
back.
you? How do you get on the... What the hell?
Well,
it's
just everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing it. Look, one thing I will say, and I'll be quick with it, I think that it's important to be cognizant and aware of what's coming. But I will say that I feel like a lot of people these days, they convince themselves of wagers kind of like, 2 to 3 weeks down the road, and then a bunch of things could change between that time, but they've already convinced themselves weeks ago that they have to make that wager. So It's important to be aware, but don't lock yourself into something before, weeks ahead of time.
So is the Abraham Lincoln just because you can't grow a mustache, or you actually want to look like Abraham Lincoln?
It's because I love you so much, Prez. I knew you'd comment about it. I didn't shave today. Yes, for you.
Andrew. Hat. That'd be a look for you, dude, with a stovetop hat.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think those hats are ever coming back in, bro. Andrew, let's get into some Canadian football. You've got a bet for us on the Saskatchewan-Montreal game. Saskatchewan's a disaster. They're +4. They're playing the Alouettes. They used to have another name, didn't they? The Concords, or...
I'm not sure.
Another... Yeah, they did. They did ages ago. Anyway, what do you got for us in this game?
So, guys, I've really found that this year, specifically in the CFL, it's been a huge kind of league where you see a lot of overreactions, and you can kind of buy low and sell high and a bunch of different scenarios. It's a similar thing of what I'm doing with my 5% play this week, actually. But in this scenario here, you have a Montreal team that, well, they've defeated teams they should beat. The wins they have are against teams that I expected them to defeat, and hats off to them. They've played all right football. They've played up to their standard. But in competitive games and against those big teams, they haven't looked that great. And against Calgary, well, Calgary's quarterback threw 2 interceptions, and I honestly think Calgary lost that game just as much as Montreal won it. Now, Saskatchewan, they, to me, have been the opposite. They have had a very tough schedule. They've been traveling all around the country, and now you find them getting 4.5 points in this spot here, where I think that they're a stronger football team than the Alouettes are. Recent form would probably tell you maybe they aren't, but they're coming off a big win against the Red Blacks, and the Saskatchewan was actually my 5% winner last week. And also, quarterback Cody Fajardo from Montreal, he's listed as day-to-day, did not practice yesterday. Their standout running back, William Stanback, he did not practice yesterday. Guys, this is one where I think the number will change throughout the week. I like Saskatchewan +4 points here.
Saskatchewan +4 in Canadian Football League action. Andrew, let's talk a little NFL preseason action for Thursday night national TV game on the NFL Network, the Texans and the Patriots. You posted in the thread last night you like the under 38.5. The only problem with that is this morning the markets have agreed with you and fairly strongly. The under now sitting at 36.5. There are some 37s out there, but the prevailing number 36.5 for the Pats and the Texans on Thursday night. Do you still like the under at the current number? And tell us why you like the under, and what are the markets seeing that they're pounding the under in early betting action today on Wednesday?
I guess you could say it's a good thing and a bad thing. Bad news is I wasn't able to give it out at the better number. Good news is it seems like the market's going in the direction that I thought. So many things to unpack in this game, but I'll keep things short. A lot of times change, people think as some big positive thing that can instantly make an impact. When you bring in a new offensive coordinator, as far as the Patriots are concerned, a young, motivated, promising quarterback, as far as the Houston Texans are concerned, and the public bettors and the market really excited about this game, thinking we should see lots of offense. I see a lot of inexperience. I see 2 defensive-minded coaches and a Patriots team that in the regular season last year, their games total averaged 34 points. Texans, their games total averaged 30 points. And I'll tell you what, guys, as far as where I live in the way far east coast of Canada, the Patriots are kind of the closest team to me. I've seen a few of their games in person. I've told my friends, I don't really want to go back because they're boring. Every game I've seen seems to have like 13 points involved. And I don't think that changing the OC in week one of the preseason, I'm going to see that much of a drastic difference. I know you've got 4 quarterbacks that should be involved in this game, but I do not see it being the shootout some believe it could be.
Well, let me ask you this, because it stood out to me. I mean, obviously, you've had so many coaching changes in Houston. You can't tell what's going on there in terms of a strategy or philosophy for week one of the preseason. But you look at the Patriots under Belichick, week one of the preseason, they score points every year, 21, 22, 31, 26, 24, 34 in the last 6 years. And the majority of those games going over the total. One that stayed under only because they won 31-3, and it stayed under by a hook, you know. But we've certainly seen this offense perform under Belichick in week one of the preseason every year. And when we look at the QB rotations, we're looking at veteran quarterbacks for both teams playing against backup defenders. Does any of that concern you, or not even a little bit?
Well, certainly. But I mean, like I said, I look at these numbers and I think that sometimes a lot of this stuff that you can build narratives either way looking at different things. But I think that the way I'm choosing to look at this competitiveness and these great players and the vets, like you mentioned, and the history, and you talk about Bill O'Brien coming in and different OC, I think that it's more so going to be stepping stones, you know, looking steps in the right direction, kind of growing pains, so to speak. Look at the Houston Texans. I don't believe they're going to just come out, Teddy, and start throwing bombs downfield, and CJ Stroud's going to look like some all-star stud right away. I sometimes think that this excitement that gets built up could actually have the opposite effect than what people think. Just because there's promise and just because there's guys that are capable, it doesn't mean to me that they're not going to take their time, be conservative. And I actually think it's quite the opposite. They're going to, you know, be more smart and actually take this game more serious as far as game planning is concerned. If that's the case, maybe I should be looking at the first half under. But I'll go for a full game under here at 36.5. But it's a shame that we can't get to 38.5 now.
Andrew McInnis, everyone. Guys, Andrew's got a 5% play up tonight in Canadian football. You're 4-1 this season in these 5% plays, right? 4-1?
Yes.
When does the play go?
It goes on Saturday. 4-1 on the 5% plays. Like I said, I hit one last Sunday on the Saskatchewan Roughriders there. And you can use the promo code CFL15, CFL15 to take $15 off that package. And this Friday, I'll be coming out with a package that includes all of my NFL sides, totals, props, and I'll be throwing in the CFL season as well at a really good price. So we'll build those bankrolls no matter what football league it is and try and make some money.
Andrew McInnis, outstanding stuff. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. Teddy, before we end the show, I want to talk to you about preseason NFL betting really quick. And just conceptually, I want to make a statement. Look, I don't have the statistics to back this up, and it would be almost impossible to find them. But watching and betting a preseason NFL for, 20-something years, 30-something years, the biggest sort of driver for me is go counterintuitive. The under teams in the regular season go over in preseason. The over teams in regular season go under in preseason. The teams that suck in regular season win in preseason. The teams that win in vice versa. Now, that's a generalization, but have you noticed that?
So from a total standpoint, not as much. I find preseason total, I don't bet a lot. I find them fairly random. Once in a while, I find one, but if I find one or two totals for the entire preseason, I'm very happy with that. When it comes to sides, absolutely. Think about why. It makes perfect sense why. The good teams aren't playing their starters. They don't have a lot of jobs open. They don't get the quality free agents, unsigned free agents. When you have an option, you go somewhere else, as opposed to the team where you're not going to get a roster spot. So you're playing the second half is weaker, right? They're not worried about it. Whereas your weaker teams from a year ago, they have more young talent. They have better players on the field in the second half, and they win a lot of these games. So that's something that does make sense to me. It is not a bad approach to it. It's not anything I'm going to bet blindly, but as a thought process, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all.
What a show, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Bryan Power, Tokyo Brandon, and Andrew McInnis. Teddy, you are with Steve Merrill tomorrow and Friday. I am 7 couples rented a cottage up in Georgia Bay. It's going to be spectacular. We got a boat, a jet ski, skis. I'm disappearing for 4 days, bro, but I'm back Monday, and that's the end of these big, long cottage. Summer's coming to an end, man. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad
over, bro.
thing.
We're back in Vegas. Preseason's here.
Take us home, brother.
In my world.
Take us home, and I'll see you Monday.
I look forward to it. It's been fun the last 3 days, and that's about as much of you as I can handle. That's going to wrap for Wager Talk today. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same channel, right here on the Wager Talk TV network. Between now and then, enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.